Hello, boys and girls. Ready for another art project? I hope you are. I'm super excited. We are almost through with our 2021 school year. So now some of you have moved to in-person and some of you are still virtual. So we're going to have some different choices for this project. If you are virtual, I will talk with you a little bit more about some choices that you may have if you don't have all the materials that we're going to be using. So more on that later. So the first thing I'm going to do, boys and girls, is we're going to talk about collage. All right, we're going to work on our cutting skills with scissors. I'm going to show you how to hold the scissors and be able to use them safely. And then we're going to use our cutting skills to create a collage. So you may or may not remember, earlier in the year, we looked at an artist named Eric Carle, who creates a lot of his artwork through collage. So we talked about it a little bit then. So now I'd like for you to create a collage. And in school right now, you have been studying insects. So I am going to have you create your very own insect. You can invent it, or you can create a real one. Here's my example that I made. I did a butterfly with some flowers. So I'm going to go through and we're going to talk first about what a collage is. I'm going to show you some pictures of how I made mine, and then I'm going to do a short demonstration at the end of how to layer the paper when you're creating a collage. All right. So first things first, what's a collage? So a collage, boys and girls, is when you cut up paper, or it could be fabric, it could be any kind of material, and you repurpose it. You put it together to create something different, to create your picture. So as you can see, this was an example of a student from a couple of years ago, an art show we had, and I believe this was a kindergartner. You can see everything she created in this picture is made from cut paper. So it's still the same concept as drawing. You're still going to think of the shapes that go into creating each object. So what shape is the head? What shape is the body? What shape are the legs? What shape is the body of the car? What shape is the wheel? That's going to help you with this collage. Look, she even put in eyelashes. She put in the pink eyelashes. Okay. So let's look at another example. Skip that one. Skip that one. I forgot those pictures are in there. Here's another example with some really great detail. This was also a kindergartner. She's a superhero. Look at her superhero here. She's got a cape. Look at the little dog. She made the shape of the bows, some buildings, and she's got some trees here. So she's got all kinds of details. Even on her tree, boys and girls, look, it's not just a plain green tree. Look, she's added flowers and some fruit to her tree. And these were really great examples. I put them into an art show that we had, and there is myself with Mr. Hopkins, and you can see all 4 of these collages in the art show. All right, so that's what a collage is. So now I would like to show you the example that I forgot about this one. This is a young man who I think is a 3rd grader now. I think he was either in kindergarten. I think it was kindergarten in this class, and he's now in 3rd grade. And look at the details on his bumblebee. Okay, he's creating a bigger project, but he just chose a bumblebee, which is why I put in here, because we're going to do insects. And look, he cut the shapes out of yellow paper, and then he cut the black stripes for the bee out of black paper. And look at all that little detail he's doing. He's being very careful. He's holding the scissors appropriately. He's cutting away from himself, and all that we're going to go over in just a moment. Okay. All right. There we go. All right. So second step, plan and practice. You need to think about, first of all, where or what insect you want to do. All right. So the first thing we'll do after we get through this is you're going to plan your insect. You're going to draw it out, and then you can practice some cutting. But the first thing I did for this particular example was I decided to draw my background. I colored it with colored pencil. I'm going to show you in a minute how to layer paper to use the paper for a background. All right, so that's a choice. Whoops. You can color your background or you can use paper. Why is that not coming up? There we go. Sorry. Where's my arrow? There it is. I don't know why that keeps popping up there. Okay. The second thing I did was I cut out the basic shape of my butterfly. Now I did mine all in one shape. You don't have to do it that way, as I'll show you in a little bit. I folded my paper in half and cut out, this is the fold right here. And I drew and cut it out all together. So I didn't cut both sides. Separately, I had the paper folded in half and I cut it out together. So that's one way of cutting out the basic shape of your insect. And I'll show you how to break that down a little bit more. All right. So the next thing I started doing was cutting out the petals from my flowers. And again, I folded my paper in half. I'm actually cutting out 2 at a time here. And then I arranged them on a piece of the paper to make sure I knew where I wanted them and I had enough. I also started playing around a little bit with the center of the flower. I made 2 circles and the little center you can see is going to be in here, but the 2 circles I cut fringe around the outside edge and curled it to create that texture of the middle of the flower. And then I started gluing things down. Now for me, boys and girls, it is easier to, I was using liquid glue and I went and put a little bit of glue on each one. And so they were all ready. So I could just start placing them on my paper. You may want to do one at a time. It's up to you. And there they are. I put the final piece in the middle together, and then I went and repeated and did the second one. All right, there's the glue, and there it's all glued together. And then I glued on my butterfly. Now I wanted my butterfly to potentially be 3D. So I only put glue right here on one side of the fold when I cut it out. That way, when I glued it down, there it is. I don't know if you can tell, but the edges of the butterfly are not glued down. So they're going to have some 3D effect, just like the center of the flowers are 3D. And there I took a picture from the side so you can see how it comes up a little bit. So of course it's in my book. So when I close the book, it's going to be flat. But when I pull it out and open the pages, I can have it pop up a little bit. Okay. So those were the steps. So now I'm going to show you some quick little demonstrations. So the first thing we're going to do is how do we hold our scissors? Scissors can be sharp. Hopefully you have kid scissors so that so they're not quite as sharp. My scissors are not kid scissors. They're actually adult scissors, but they're little, so they're made for being very accurate. So they have a very sharp, pointy tip. Okay. My fingers are bigger than yours, so I need to use an adult pair of scissors. Okay. So first things first. If you have to walk with scissors, and in class, I don't allow you to do that, and we're in COVID right now, so you have to stay in your little taped off square anyway. But if you do, you always hold them like this if you have to walk with scissors, all right? And if you hand them to someone, you always hand them when you're holding the scissor part, make sure they're fully closed, you're holding this part and you hand the person with the handles coming at them, all right? Never hand them this way at someone. That is not safe. Okay, and never walk with scissors like this, never walk with them like this, always like this. All right, that's rule number 1. Now, to cut properly, you need to have, I'm gonna get my big scissors for a second because most scissors have a small hole and then a bigger one, okay? And your kid scissors probably have that bigger one on the bottom. The little one always goes on top, all right? So we want a thumbs up, we want safety, and that's how you remember that the thumb goes in the little hole. Thumbs up for safety, okay? So your thumb is gonna go in that little hole. Your next 2 fingers, piece, go in the bottom, okay? So turn my scissors this way. I'm gonna put the 2 in the bottom and my thumb at the top. And then the next thing is your elbow needs to stay down by your side. Keep it touching your side. And if you do that, this is going to force you to cut away from you. So if I pick my elbow up, see, I can turn and I can cut towards myself. That's a no-no. We don't want to do that, okay? So keep that elbow down, and that will make sure that, because now it's really hard to turn my hand and cut this way, right? So you always want to cut away from you, all right? And always with your fingers to the side. In that picture of the little boy cutting, you saw his fingers were to the side of the blade. They were not in front of it. They were on the side. So those are the safety rules for scissors. Very important. Rewind this and rewind this if you need to hear that again. Okay. All right. So now that we know how to hold scissors, let's look at how we're going to do our collage and how to cut our paper. So let me switch to my document camera. So here are the materials that you're going to need. Colored paper of your choice, glue. Now you can use a glue stick for this project if you want. I will tell you, if you color the background like I did, however, especially if you use crayon, a glue stick does not stick very well to the crayon because of the waxy finish. So you will need liquid glue if you color the background. All right, you're welcome to try, but it usually doesn't stick very well. You're gonna probably need a pencil and of course scissors. So put these to the side. The first thing you want to do is layer it. Now I'm starting with a blue piece of paper because I want the sky to be blue. So there's no sense in me cutting out paper if I already have blue paper. That's going to be the farthest thing away in the picture. So I'm going to have that be a blue paper. Now, the green on top of that, I'm going to make some hills and maybe some grass. So I will cut this out to be on top. So I'm going to make some rolling hills. Now, if you would like, you can create a line for your hills and then practice cutting on that line. So watch me. I'll turn my paper sideways, got my fingers in my scissors the right way. I'm pointing away from me. My hands are on the side, my elbows down. And now I'm going to cut slowly, open and close, all the way across. Notice how it's smooth. If you go too fast, or if you try to force it, the paper is going to get very jagged. Okay, that if it's jagged right here as you're cutting, that just means you need to slow down and control your cutting a little bit. It means that as each time you cut, you're moving the scissors a little bit. So slow down, okay, and then you can do that. All right, so then I would just glue this paper down, and now you can see I have my hill, I have my sky already done. And of course, as you glue it, make sure you line up with the edges like this, okay? Now, what you can't see is, let me move this up, my paper doesn't fully cover the blue paper, and it comes down a little bit. So I can fix that real quick by simply cutting off the extra. Now you can measure it and you can make a line there. You can draw a line just so to cut it off. I'm not going to do that because I'm going to save a little bit of time here. Now I can use some other green paper to create a hill maybe that's closer up here. You could create a flower to go there, anything that you want. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly kind of make a little hill. It starts here. The important thing here is that you're layering. See, I went a little fast and I made one of those little jagged edges. All right, but you're layering the paper. Okay, so there you go. Now I have the sky. I have my hill, shows my horizon line, and I have a foreground. Okay, so now I'm ready to start making my insect. I forgot to show you my other insect. Boys and girls, you can invent an insect. You can create it any way you want to. This is a drawing that I did for another project years ago. It's on a big piece of paper, so it's kind of hard to show you. This was with symmetry. The bugs are symmetrical on each side. And so I had students create patterns. We've been talking about patterns, and I would like for you to create patterns on your bug. Okay, you saw it even on my butterfly, I had a pattern, right? So it can be any pattern you want. Remember, a pattern is when you repeat something. So you have here, I have the circle with the 2 triangles, and I repeated it. Circle with 2 triangles, circle 2 triangles, circle 2 triangles. I kept the colors the same and the size and shapes the same. So in your different areas of your bug, whatever bug it is, you are going to create patterns, stripes, circles, polka dots, any patterns that you would like. All right, so now you have your choice. You can, again, you can draw each shape and put it together the way that little boy was that I showed you. So perhaps, let's see, I'll make big, you're gonna make your bug big, okay? Your bug should be the biggest thing in the picture, or pretty close. I kind of made my example, my flowers and my butterfly are actually all about the same size. All right, but you can see my butterfly is pretty big. It should not be teeny tiny, even though a lot of bugs are small. But we wanna see what you did, okay? So try to make it really big. So I'm gonna make a circle for the head. I'm gonna do something different other than my butterfly and I'm gonna make a body. Oh, this might be too big. Well, the good thing is if you make it too big, you can always cut it and make it smaller. But if you make it too small, it's kind of hard to make it bigger unless you start all over again. So you can draw those shapes first and then cut them out. Notice again, keep your elbow down, on your line, turning the paper. See, I'm moving it with my hands, my other hands. I'm always keeping my fingers to the side. All right, there's the head. Now, I don't want to glue anything down yet because I'm not sure all of what I'm going to put in here. Okay, so we might not want to do that. You probably could glue your paper down for the background, for the grass, but I'm not going to glue this down because in my other one, I put the butterfly on last, right? Because the butterfly was on top of the flowers. If I had put the butterfly down first, I couldn't have put the flowers underneath it, right? Because once glue is there, it's dry, it's there, it's stuck. So you have to think in layers. So that's why you're seeing me do, I did the grass first. Now I'm gonna do some of this. And what are some other details that you could put in your picture? What are some things that I could have put in my picture? I could have added other bugs. I could have added more flowers. I could have added birds in the sky or clouds. Gosh, there's so many different things, right? I could have added trees. I could have added a house. There is no limit to what you can add. Okay, so there's the start of my bug. So now I need to start thinking about the wings, the legs, the details, right? The patterns. And so I've got other colors. You can just do any colors that you want to. If you want to make stripes, let me show you a little quick trick. Maybe I'll just do stripes on part of it. I did not plan out this bug. That's why I don't know what I'm doing for the pattern, which is why you should draw yours first so that you know what you're doing. All right, you can cut a bunch of lines like this, and then you can cut this way all at once. And look, and now I've got some stripes. So maybe it just has stripes on the belly. All right. And I can keep adding to that. All right, obviously this isn't done. I don't think I need to create the whole thing right here. That would be way too long of a video. All right, last thing I'm going to show you is glue. Boys and girls, remember these types of glue, they have that twist top. Always when you're done, make sure you close it so the glue doesn't dry inside, because then it blocks it and it won't come out again, okay? So you have to twist it open, and you don't need very much glue, especially the liquid glue, it's stronger. So Let's pretend I'm all done and I'm ready to glue. I'm not, clearly, right? I have a lot more to do, but you're just, oh, that came out fast. See, so if it comes out fast like that, see, it's like a big drop on there. That's too much. I can just use the other side and kind of dab it and spread it out, right? Instead of using more, I can just kind of move it around. And then when I put it in my paper, now it's going to squeeze out a little bit because I did put too much. That came out fast. I haven't used that bottle of glue. I just wipe it with my fingers. And if there's enough, you can actually wipe it off your fingers onto the next piece of glue. Okay. If it's not, if it's just a little bit, you're welcome to use paper towel. I think I have a paper towel right here. Just wipe it off on a little piece of paper towel. Okay. All right. So that's collage, boys and girls. And you can create as much detail as you could drawing. It's just a matter of cutting. So remember your safety rules, remember the layering, and remember patterns. Have fun.